Matt Walsh put out a documentary. It's on the Daily Wire. I can give you guys my login if you want to watch it.
So good.
Did you guys? Who saw it here?
So
I
good.
did.
I saw it. That's so
LeeAnn
good.
saw it. Gothix saw it. It was. I have to do a review about this later, but it was so good, and I was really expecting. Are you guys, Anna and Brittany, are familiar with Matt Walsh? He's like, there was a viral video on Dr. Phil, and he was just talking to these like two like men with long hair that were like, and they're talking about what is a woman. And now that this documentary has come out, you realize that that appearance was kind of part of making this documentary. And he traveled like all over the world asking people what is a woman, spoke with liberal gender studies professors, went to like a tribe in Kenya to ask them if
that is hilarious.
And the tribe in Kenya is like crystal clear on what a woman is, and they're like, well, what if a man wants to present as a woman? They're like, the tribesmen are like, yeah, there's obviously something wrong with them or their family. It's like the answers were so simple and so straightforward. There's certain
they think people are fucking insane here.
And everyone's just like calm and the vibe is happy. And then Matt Walsh is asking like a gender studies professor, what is a woman? And he's just really looking for truth. And he was even saying to him, I'm just looking for the truth. And at some point, this gender studies professor was like, actually, I find, what did he say?
Basically, the truth is offensive. Basically,
the truth is, it's like
bigoted,
offensive, bigoted. He's like, I'm just looking for the truth. And this guy and it's amazing how quickly these people shut down the conversation when he would just ask simple questions. And if you know how Matt Walsh is, I fully expected him in this documentary to come off like, I think he's great. I don't agree with everything he says, but like he can come off cunty if he wants, just because of like his demeanor, and he's very smart and he's a sharp guy.
He's
and
very like dry humor.
If he wants to, he could come off condescending but he wasn't. He remained.
The day one that had the baby, or that's having the babies with his husband. Everyone's losing their mind.
That's Dave Rubin. That's Dave Rubin from The Blaze. This is Matt Walsh from Daily Wire. He's got like a crazy ass beard.
I will Google.
So hairy. Like, I imagine his whole body's covered in hair. I imagine he looks like just like a abominable. What's it called? You guys know what I'm talking about. Bigfoot? A Yeti. Yeah. He looks like Bigfoot, I'm sure, without his clothes on. A Sasquatch. Yeah. These are all good answers. But I think Matt Walsh remained as neutral as he possibly could have with these people, and really was patient and really. And like he spoke to this one woman who was like supposedly a children's physician, and he was asking like, when do you think a kid is ready for gender affirming hormones? And then she was like, oh, as soon as they want. And like these answers were shocking. And as soon as Matt said, oh, you there's gender blocking, there's hormone blockers, puberty blockers, and then there's the gender affirming hormone. So it's like you stop the puberty and then you give them the opposite hormones to prevent puberty, to like prevent further trauma of developing into their biological bodies. So it's like the pause. And they were really either purposely hiding the truth or being purposely deceptive about the consequences of these hormones. Like they stop your bone growth, they stop your brain growth. There were studies that like 7 years after most people transition, they become. They're what?
It sterilizes you.
It sterilizes you, and it makes you like very suicidal. Like they said, they did a study like 7 years after you transition, you're more suicidal than before. And they make it sound like, oh, you can just pause your puberty like a song. And it's like, no, it's like, you can't just.
Whoever thought that was, you cannot do that. Like, what? No.
And then here's where he triggered somebody. He said, and then you put them on, I think it's called Lupron or something. And it's a chemical castration drug that they would give.
It chemically
castrates you. And he's like, oh, this is the same drug you give to pedophiles to like, and then as soon as he said it like that, the person completely shut down. And it's like,
that's the part. My friend is a hardcore liberal, but we're still friends. Like we get in arguments, but we're still friends because I've known her since middle school. But she watched it last night and she texted me like that. She didn't know about that they gave that to pedophiles to castrate them. And she's like livid now, like after watching that. So he is changed because she's hardcore liberal, but she's like slowly like, what the fuck is this? I think that part really got people when he said that. Like they didn't know that they gave it to fucking pedophiles.
That lady is in my home state. That
which one?
The pediatrician that gives the castration. And you know the thing, I don't think they mentioned it in the doc, is like you can, if you think that you're trans and you want to take these medications, there's hardly any gatekeeping. Like after 2 sessions of therapy, you can get these drugs.
And there's like, and what I'm reading now in this book by Abigail Shriver called Irreversible Damage. I'm like more than halfway through it. So of course I can speak intelligently on it. But I guess they're saying my gender dysmorphia or dysphoria, I always mix it up, used to be more of a thing with young boys, like around kindergarten age. And then starting in 2012, it was way flipped in the other direction, and it was mostly teenage girls. And the reason why the trans thing appeals to young girls, like preteen and teen girls, is because it's the time in your life where you need the most validation. You're super insecure, and also girls very much socialize in groups at that age, and that's why you have this social phenomena of like girls coming out as trans in groups and deciding to go on, get top surgery in groups, and like they're all, it's an immediate upswing in your like social currency, right? Like you're immediately cool. And they've just done studies where like, most girls, if their peer group is, at least everyone's either bisexual or trans, or like you have to be something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like what the Power Rangers were for us growing up. It's like, oh, you got to pick a color. So, and it appeals to girls now just because of the way that they socialize, and because there are so many now trans influencers on like YouTube and I guess TikTok and everywhere that really are kind of convincing a lot of young girls to just go through it. And of course, like a lot of them are like, they're fully realized, they're glamorous. And if you're like a young insecure girl, you're going to look at that and be like, wow, that's validating. That person's confident. They're with it. Like transitioning is the path to confidence, when it's not necessarily the way. It's just like,
I feel like there's going to be a lot of pissed off kids in like 10, 15 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be fucking crazy.
They're guinea pigs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
between COVID and masking them and vaccinating them and this shit, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be good.
We don't encourage it normally. We're not like, oh yeah, go get plastic surgery to fix your insecurities. And then suddenly in this case we do. It's very strange.
Right. Well, it's because they say that if you don't go through the transition, that could lead to like more mental illness and make you depressed. Like they'll try to gaslight people and say that it's almost like a manipulation tactic. It's like, well, hold on a second. If you feel depressed, do you think chopping off your boobs is going to make you feel not depressed? Like,
well, what I didn't know before that documentary is that they get like $70,000 per surgery. Like shit, no wonder they're pushing.
Oh, I think
it's
top
disgusting.
surgery
like,
is at least $10,000 off the bat. And that's the point that I noticed is like, boom, you have a big pharma customer for life. Like whether you go full on out and you need a lifetime worth of hormones, or you go in for 10 years and you detransition and it fucks you up mentally, and then you're on something. You're on an antipsychotic, an anti-anxiety, you're on a Xanax, something else to keep it together for the rest of your life. So they
there's
once
like
they get in there
on TikTok that have GoFundMes to transition. So they're like raising money to do this.
Yeah.
So sad.
And what these gender affirming therapists, like, right, the YouTube, whatever, I'm about to sound so old. The influencers will say like, this is exactly what you say to your therapist or your doctor to like write you, to give you the go ahead. And to Gothix's point that they will emotionally manipulate you. A lot of these gender affirming therapists will say to parents, well, your kid's going to be suicidal if you don't do this. Do you want an alive son, or do you want a dead daughter? And they'll say shit like that to bully parents and intimidate parents into going.
And that's a therapist. That is fucking sick shit. That is so wrong. Like,
yeah, I think there's a dad in Canada who got locked up for just like shutting down the process of letting his kid transition. And I think they just like, while he was locked up, the kid, like when, the court or whatever gave the kid the go ahead to start the hormones. It's just like, it is
I know,
so
and that's their dad.
crazy. Yeah.
That's fucked.
The other thing about that too is that not only are you monetizing off of them pretty much for life because of all the adverse effects from all those hormones, but you're also securing like generations of voters for the left, because I know a lot of trans people that are conservative, but they totally don't like this idea of giving this to kids and encouraging kids to take this. So that seems to be like a sort of like a political left-leaning ideology. So it's messed up.
Yeah, it is messed up. And that's a good point about securing voters. They can say like, oh, we were the party who supported you. We are the party who let you transition behind your parents' back.
Well, that could go the other way if it goes bad and they hate it and they're suicidal. So that could backfire.
It's such a fragile group. It's like you're such a fragile age, like especially girls in particular are really vulnerable. And this is why I'm so happy I didn't come of age with social media.
No, me too.
Because like the likes and just your self-esteem is so low, and you're comparing yourself to your peers and like, oh, how many likes did my friend get on her post, versus you can like actually,
it has to be exhausting,
compare the numbers, it's
like it's exhausting now. I can't imagine being in high school doing it. Like, fuck that. I'm so glad we did not have that. I'm so glad.
I'm already ADD. No. Imagine if I like had a little like validation box in my pocket like all day at school.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
It's so tempting. And then imagine like you get home and like you're supposed to do your homework, but all you want to do is like check all your shit. So
yeah, but then if you don't get likes and stuff, can you imagine being in high school like, oh, I'm fucking ugly, no one likes me, no one likes my content, no one likes my my god.
Oh, I'll transition. That'll be a quick fix. Good, exactly. I'll be cool.
Exactly. They're like, well,
then nobody can say shit. And like, then all the teachers, now I'm in a safe space everywhere I go. Everyone's like treating me with kid gloves. Nobody gets to say anything, or else it's bullying. I totally get it. And I'm not a parent, but it's just this is like so not something our parents had to at all deal with.
You're like a step parent, kind of.
I am. I'm a step girlfriend.
Well, are they old enough to be on social media?
They are, but they're not, which is awesome.
That's good.
Yeah. I think I remember I was fighting it. I got a cell phone junior year of college. I didn't want one. I didn't want like everybody to know where I was. And it was a flip phone. It was just so like my mom, because I had an internship in the city. My mom was like, I want to know if you're getting raped.
Oh yeah.
You gotta call me. You have to call me.
I'm about to get raped. Just letting you know.
If you're gonna get raped and be late for dinner, you gotta call me.
Be like, I'm getting mugged. I'll probably be late.
Yeah. Hey, mom. Yep. Yep. I am. Yeah. Actually, a skirt. You were right.
Yep. You were right.
You were right.
It's happening.
You were right. Should have done the pants.
It's happening.
I'm just thinking about how at public school, it's literally a 10% chance of getting sexually assaulted. You have a 1 in 10 chance.